Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. I'm your host, Mari Reisberg. Over the past several years, I've combined my degrees in acting and somatic psychology to share my sustaining creativity techniques with performers. And now I've decided to share it with a bigger audience that includes you. I believe we are all creative, and this podcast is all about that. I'll be interviewing people from all backgrounds, ages, and creativity experiences to share just how creative we all are. Today, I'll be chatting with Trina L. Martin. She's an author, speaker, technologist, and podcaster. Please enjoy Trina L. Martin. Welcome to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. Today, I am here with Trina L. Martin. She is a technologist, which I'm sure she will go into more of what goes into being a technologist, but welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Mari. I'm so excited to be here speaking with you today.
Wonderful. I am so excited to have you to chat about creativity and to hear how creativity has shown up in your life throughout the many avenues of things that you have done. But before we dive into that, if you could just take a couple of minutes and let our listeners know a little bit more about who you are and what you do.
Wow. Okay. So as you said, I am Trina L. Martin. I live here in Houston, Texas, in the United States. I am the mother of 2 children. That's my most important role. I am as you said, a technologist, and that's the name that I give myself. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a tech consulting firm, but I spent over 2 decades in IT programming for some major corporations. I've done digital forensics. I'm a tech. I'm a geek, so I'm always all things tech. So hence the name technologist. So that's kind of like my, position or title, if you will. I am a recently retired U.S. Naval Officer. I served 30 years before finally retiring. What else do I do? Oh, I'm a 2-time author. I'm a public speaker, and just living my best life.
I love it. Well, thank you for your service. And oh my goodness, author, mother, technologist. I love all of it. And I imagine creativity has a hand in every aspect of what you do.
It does.
Nice. Well, when you think of creativity, what does it mean to you to be creative?
Oh, and I was thinking about this, and it's funny because my daughter is actually very creative. But when I think of creative, I think of doing and presenting and just doing things that other people can't do, or you're doing it differently. So being creative is, showing up and doing things that someone else wouldn't do maybe that exact way, or maybe not at all, but it's something that you see through your eyes.
I like that. That's a new idea of what creativity is to me. I've been interviewing a lot of people, and I love when I get surprised about, oh, that's a new version of creativity. I love it. It's awesome. And when you kind of think of creativity through your own eyes, what comes to mind?
Well, so many things come to mind for me. Being a writer and a speaker, I'm always looking for ways to captivate and engage. So as I said previously, my daughter is very creative. She's an artist. I don't even know where she got that gene from, because that's not me. But for me, I think about that in my work. So writing, speaking, and all my years working in corporate, being a programmer, I had to be creative.
Yeah.
I had to think out of the box to actually make systems do what they needed to do, and how was I going to do them, and think about it the most efficient and effective way, and actually code it. So to me, that was my greatest way of showing my creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think coding gets a bad rap, that it is seen as not being a creative thing, but I think there's so much creativity that goes into it, and solving problems, but also design. There's so much design that shows up in coding. So yeah, I believe we're all creative, and we have different abilities to express and share our creativity. We may not all like to draw, but coding, I think, is just as creative as someone who's a fine artist. So
yes.
I love it. I like it. And when you think of creative challenges that you've encountered in your life, how have you faced those creative challenges?
What I usually do, and it usually comes in the form of, again, like writing and speaking. So me planning my topics and things like
Mhm.
that. Usually, what I do is I kind of just step away. I step away from what I'm doing
Mhm.
and free my mind, doing something else. And as I'm going about whatever I'm doing, I'll take notes, jot things down. I find that helps get my juices flowing. And surprisingly, I usually have my most um, creative moments at night. So I am a night owl. I rise early and I should go to bed early, but then it's like at night, I'm like, oh my God, it's like my second wind kicks in. And I don't know if it's
Yeah.
because I got OCD or ADHD or whatever, but at night, it usually starts, flowing. So I'm usually up
Mm.
going, okay, let me do this, let me do that. So stepping back for a minute, because you know how when you're really focused on something and you're really intent and you're looking at it and you're thinking about it and you're like, wow, why can't I think about this? Why can't I think about this? And that's why I think, because you're so close to it, then
Mhm.
when you step away, then you can, start thinking about something else. Then the juices start flowing. So that's
Mm.
what happens to me.
Nice. Yeah, I understand that too. I wonder if, like, being a night owl or getting a second wind at night, it's kind of, you've done all the things that you're quote unquote supposed to or have to do during the day. And then it's like Trina's time at the end
Yes.
of the night
Yes.
to
I
get
think that is
creative.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I definitely experienced that at times too. It's like, oh, now it's my time. And now, do I have the energy to be creative, or do I have the time or the, you know, drive to do it as well?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm curious, having been in the military, what was the creative experience being in the military?
Oh my goodness. You know, that's a good question. So let me think about that really quick, because I've never been asked that about being in the military. But
Mhm.
um I would say being an officer
Mhm.
and my creativity had to come in as far as how I led people, how I
Mm,
connected with them,
yeah.
because my my style of engagement, I wasn't the typical military, like duh, 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 duh. I was different in the aspect that when I got into the military, I was enlisted. So I worked my way from ground
Mhm.
zero up.
Yeah.
So a lot of my subordinates that worked with me respected that, because that let them know that I was once where they were. I
Mm,
understood. So
yeah.
unlike a lot of officers that may come out of the academies that have never served enlisted wise,
Mhm.
I had that experience. So, I've been the person sweeping the floor, buffing floors, painting walls. So I had that aspect. So my creativity came out in that way, is how I connected.
Mm,
So I did not do the normal traditional, what you would think of as a military officer. I
mhm.
approached them almost as a peer, but not. And
Mhm.
I think I got a lot of reception from that. I think a lot of people appreciated that, because they were like, "Oh my goodness, you're like the best officer I've ever had." And my thing is, you treat people how you want to be treated. And like I said, I
Yeah.
remember those times when I was that low person on the totem pole. So I wanted to make sure I treated people the way I wanted to be treated at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it makes sense. And, when we have experienced something that someone else is going through, I think there's opportunities to share creativity of how to complete it or how to do it or, how to get through it. Because maybe that's that's the moment that they need support in. Yeah, I love it. I think even with all of the structure, I have not been in the military, but many family members have. The amount of structure that goes into it, I think many people assume that there isn't much creativity that happens in the military. And yet creativity really thrives with some structure and boundaries. So yeah, it makes me believe that there's way more creativity happening than civilians may recognize.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice. Well, you talked about your daughter being artistic and creative. When you were a kid, what's your earliest memory of being creative?
Oh, I think my earliest memory of being creative, because I love dolls.
Mm-hmm.
I would cut my doll's hair trying to style him.
I love it. Oh, yes.
And I would get in trouble a lot of times because my mother would be like, I just bought that doll. And, but in my mind, I was going, oh, she's going to look good with this haircut.
Of course. That's absolutely what you would think. It's what I would think too.
Exactly. But as you know, that's why I'm in technology, because I did not do well with hair cutting.
Did you ever have aspirations to go into hair design or hairdressing?
No, after I saw what I did to the dolls, I knew that was not my calling.
I get it. Nice. And were these like Barbie dolls or Cabbage Patch? Like what?
Everything. So I'm a child of the 60s. So I'm letting you know, not the 60s, I'm sorry, the 70s, and I'm not that old. So
don't add any age to yourself.
Exactly. Early 70s. But okay, I'm going to tell this story, and I don't know if you're going to relate, and probably somebody listening going to be like, oh my God. So I had a Barbie doll, a Cher Barbie doll.
Yeah.
And it had the long hair, like Cher had in that time. And Cher eventually got scalped because I cut her hair because I wanted it to be shorter. And my mother just like blew her stack because she was just like, oh my God, why did you do that to Cher? And I was like, I was trying to give her a haircut, trying to do something different. But yeah, I had a Cher doll, and actually I wish I still had that, because it probably would be worth something now. But yeah,
I love it. An icon. You gave an icon a haircut.
Exactly. So I can always tell that story. I can say I gave Cher a haircut.
Yeah.
So.
I love it. That's amazing. And I think there is creativity. Even, kids, we want to try something new and see how it goes. And maybe it'll be terrible, but we'll learn something in the process. Yeah. And that experience of letting kids find their own way and making their own decisions, I think can be really hard as a parent too, when we see, oh, that's going to be a failure, or that's going to end up really poorly, but being willing to let someone learn from their challenges or their quote unquote failure. Yeah. And it sounds like on one hand, your mom let you learn and, gave you a little more information about it.
Yeah.
I love it. I think that's so great. And what do you today in your life today, who or what inspires you?
My children inspire me. And I have a girl and a boy. My daughter is the eldest. And like I said, she's an artist, fine art. She paints, she draws. But what inspires me about her is ever since she's been able to pick up a pencil, she's been drawing, which her father and I, we were both shocked. And so to see her now getting ready to, another year, graduate from high school and go off to college, and she's still doing this and still pursuing that. I look at her and I was like, wow, that's very inspiring, because she has that talent. She knows what she wants to do with it. She's pursuing it. At her age, I did not know what I was going to do. I had totally different things. And my son, he doesn't know what he's going to do, but he still inspires me. They both inspire me in their own little ways, and they just make me happy. I'm a single mom, so when I look at them, sometimes, you're tired or whatever, and sometimes they'll say something and they just make me laugh, or they smile, and it makes my day. So they inspire me. They are my reason for everything that I do, and my late night staying up when I should be in bed. they are the reason why.
I love it. That's wonderful. And it sounds like you really, support your daughter in following her passion and dream of art.
Yes.
And whatever
I do.
Version that ends up being. But what a gift to be able to give, because I think many people may have had that dream of being an artist or wanting to do something in the creative arts, and many parents may have said, well, how are you going to make money?
Yes,
what are you going to do with that? And
I thought about that too. I've kind of said, well, maybe we can spin that into like graphic design. So, and then I just said, you know what? I'm going to let her take it however she wants to take it. So,
yeah, I think that's such a beautiful thing, to be willing to support the people you love and say, yeah, try it, see how it happens.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe she'll surprise everyone, right?
Exactly. Who knows?
I love that. I love it. Well, I imagine in all of the different arenas that you have been in your life, you have built a community around you. And how does your community impact or influence your creativity?
My community is built of so many great people. And I'm talking about the people who are close to me, as well as those on the periphery. So I just the support, like the people who are really close to me, they have always supported me in everything that I've done. So that really inspires my creativity to keep going, to keep doing what I'm doing. And it lets me know that I am on the right track. And then when I do things like this, like speaking to you on a podcast or doing my own podcast, and I see the reception that I get from other people, that inspires my creativity as well. So just everything around, and I try to look at things positively. I hate, the world is so negative now, and there's so much noise and chatter going on. So I'm always trying to find the blessing in everything. So just those things there are always things that always keep me going and keep me motivated, which inspires my creativity.
Nice. Yeah. And I imagine your community is there if you need them, to lean on them, and vice versa, that they lean on you too.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. What are some everyday issues that you have to use creativity to solve?
Well, I did tell you I'm a mother of 2 teenagers.
Yes.
So that right there is major creativity. And, and I find, and hopefully, no one hears me, but I find that I am trying to be more creative with my son than my daughter. Because everybody that knows me, I call my daughter my mini me. My son is like mini his dad. So I'm always trying to be creative when trying to inspire him. So and it's, and I don't know if you have children or not, but for the parents listening, you can raise 2 children in the same household and they're totally different. So I always have to find creative ways to talk to each one of them. Like, there's areas that my daughter, I know she's good at, but then there's areas where I know she's not. And the same thing with my son. So I have to get creative and be able to know when to switch for what child to get the outcome that needs to happen.
Yes. And be able, there's a lot of creativity in communication. It sounds like that you navigate with your kids.
It is. I can go from being an interrogator to being,
Yes, best friend. I get it. Yeah. And I imagine many parents will understand exactly what you're talking about right now. For sure. For sure. Well, how would you encourage others to find creativity in their lives?
To find creativity, I would say just go for what brings you joy, what makes you happy, and it doesn't have to be a grand thing, and it doesn't have to be something that other people understand. And that goes back to question one that you asked me, like, how do I define creativity?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be something that someone understands or someone else is giving you the validation for, because it's not for them to give you that validation. So whatever you think that you have that special power or talent, that you can see things differently than other people, and it's something that you like, and that you feel that you're being creative, just do that. Don't sit back and wait for anyone to give you acceptance or buy into it. Just do that makes you happy.
Yeah, I love that. Do what brings you joy. That's such a huge thing. I think, especially today, in today's day and age, there's so many, we question of like, am I doing it right? Or the self-criticism or self-doubt that comes in, and how can we do it just because we love to do it? And it's really only for us. And that's such a great reminder. So thank you for that reminder. Yeah. When was the last time you did something purely creative just for you?
It's been a while, but it's coming up next week, because next week I will be turning 50. So I am going to do something creative.
Yes. I love it. Well, happy early birthday. That
Thank
is
you.
amazing. That's incredible. And I hope you celebrate yourself in style, whatever that means to you.
I plan on doing that.
Oh, good. And I just have one last question for you.
Okay.
What does it feel like to you to be creative? So what does it feel like in your body to be creative?
For me, being creative is invigorating. When I can find those words that I need, or that idea that I have comes together, I actually start getting kind of happy. I start kind of doing a little happy dance to myself and dancing around. Because it's like things are coming together. You have all these things in your head, and you're, how do I do this? Is it going to go this way? Do I have to do this? I have to do that. And it's when I start getting those pieces of the puzzle to connect, it just really brings me joy. It really makes me happy. It really makes me feel recharged and invigorated. Like, okay, this is the path. So it makes me happy.
I love that. I bet people who are listening, I noticed that when you said invigorated and a smile, I started to smile too. So I imagine people hearing this will also experience that as well. So I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me this afternoon/evening. And if people want to get in touch with you or learn more about the things that you do, how could they go about doing that?
Check out my website. It is trinalmartin.com. If you need me for technology consulting, speaking, or anything like that, everything is on my website, and that's how you can connect with me.
Beautiful. Well, I will add that to the show notes so people can easily contact you and learn more. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. It has been such a treat.
Thank you for having me. It's been just fun. I've never been asked these questions before, so thank you for doing what you do. It's been great.
You are welcome. I love it. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Sustaining Creativity Podcast. We'd love to keep in touch, so follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at Sustaining Creativity. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Tag your friends and family so they can listen too. We love to hear from you, so leave your reviews, comments, and questions. Check out our website, sustainingcreativity.com for upcoming offerings and creativity coaching. Tune in Tuesdays for our next episode. And remember, with creativity, anything's possible.